Hey, what's up? So today we're going to be checking out the SH-4D. I've been waiting a hot minute to get my hands on one of these, and thank you Perfect Circuit for letting me borrow one of these and sponsoring this video. Long story short, I'm not going to be keeping this. I'm sending it back. I'm not going to be buying one. It just ain't for me, but I won't deny that it isn't fun nor quick when you get used to it. Long story short, on paper, it sounded incredible with all these voices, 60 voices, 4 parts with the rhythm part, yada, 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 but it is pretty clunky and it feels like Roland kind of threw everything in the kitchen sink at this, which can be great if this is like your one and only piece of gear. Sure, not bad. You get a ton of flexibility here, but because it has so much, it kind of starts to trip over itself. I mean, there's even like a DJ effects looper in here for turntable stopping effects. Literally says that in the manual. I'm not going to get into it. It says it's 60 voices, but it's counted kind of weird. So for example, in this one synth part with, let's say, 4 oscillators, you've now used up 4 voices, which is not the way most other synth companies count their voices. It's usually a voice is made up of oscillators, but here all the oscillators are voices. Anyway, let's kind of just go around, jam some stuff, and I'll show you the workflow of this, some of the sound design here, and we'll kind of make a track from scratch. But it's pretty powerful. For example, check out this little beat that I made here. All right, not bad. But okay, let's go ahead and show you kind of the workflow. I was hoping for a bit more sound design capabilities. It kind of keeps it surface level. I'm jumping over to pattern 6 here. So if I jump over to part 1, you have basically these different models. There's a bunch of different videos out there on the models, but some of my favorites here would be the SH-101, mainly because I love that sound, but on here it can be poly. Right? And again, going back to those 60 voices, you can get some really cool tones out of this, and it does sound a lot like the SH-101. I mean, today, digital, analog, it gets pretty close to the point where I don't think anyone's going to be walking off a dance floor, right? So the 101 is a really cool voice. Juno 106, decent. But my favorite, of course, is Wavetable. I've been into, Wavetable since, which is why I kind of grabbed that thing. And I was hoping for more flexibility when it came to the Wavetable sound design, but it's still pretty decent, right? So for example, we have this here. We can choose a different wavetable. Turn our filter up. And then we have different positions within this wavetable. And then this will act as our attack decay for a wavetable movement or a wavetable surfing, right? You can go up and down within this wavetable. And it's great because, every single note has to go through that cycle on its own. So we'll do this down. We'll bring our amp release up. Right, this already sounds really cool. Right, maybe add a little bit of a reverb. Change the reverb type. I'm going to turn our filter down, turn the envelope up a little bit, and I want to give it a little bit of a bite right at the beginning. So attack down, decay down, sustain, maybe about halfway. You can hear it doesn't have too much of a bite, mainly because our attack is up on our amp, but if I lower that a little bit, that's cool. Then we have our LFO, which only goes positive, it does not go negative, so it starts at the very bottom. You do have a fade, which is pretty cool. Takes a second. Right. Okay, cool. So this is where we can kind of get into some patterning, if you will. I'm gonna go up to our step length. And this is going to be just for part 1. Every part can have its own step length as well as play direction, which is also really cool. But we'll just say 32 steps from now. This means it's going to be 2 bars. Our tempo, we'll set this to 117. One of my gripes with the SH-4D is that everything that you would expect to be kind of an immediate thing that you need to press is a shift option. Recording is a shift option. Tempo is a shift option. Selecting what track you're on is a shift option, right? Saving is a shift option. So there's a lot of, I mean, sure, there's a ton of knob per function, but there is a lot of kind of diving around or paging around that you do need to get used to. Right now you can see I'm kind of flying around, but that's just because I've gotten used to it. So, okay, we're here. We're on pattern 7. I changed it from 6. 6 was doing something weird, and I was not about to sit here and try to figure that out. So here we are, page tie. I wish we can see this continuously, because as soon as you let it go, you don't know where you're at. Nothing is letting you know that it's currently on page 2 until it comes back around on page 1. And unless you're up here checking this out and constantly pressing this, because this little screen will go away. So we'll go back to page 1. It's right here. There's a couple different ways we can enter in notes. I can hold down a step and enter in, let's say, these notes here. And as I hold this, I have a gate length, and I can turn this up to tie. And that just means I need to go and put another step here of essentially that same chord, which I don't, oh, I added one too many notes. And then same thing, tie this, and now it's going to tie it. Well, maybe not. Oh, right, because that's just note 1. There's note 2. And no, that should tie it. I don't know why it's re-triggering it, but we'll go ahead and exit that note. And I'm going to just say our rhythm track. I'm going to just give ourselves a little metronome. Sure, we'll do this. That's cool. Go back to part 1. I'll hit record, and then we'll just say, you know what? I actually want this part to be 64 steps. So I'm going to turn this up. That's our max anyway. Restart this. Go back into record mode. Awesome. That works perfectly for me. One thing that's fun about the rhythm track, you can basically find and use your model to find a bunch of different kicks, right? Or different sounds, depending on what you are, for example. That's pretty decent. Pitch envelope. A little less. Let's try a different kick. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, sweet. I want this one to be muted out. Let's see, can I? Oh, right, here's the other thing. The sequencer can be kind of rigid, right? It's always quantized, there's no nudging. I can hold down a step and look at its velocity, its gate, its probability, as well as its, I forget what they call this, but it's like kind of like micro steps or ratcheting. So if we put it at 1/3, right, you can hear it does that there. Maybe I don't want that. 1/2, 1/4, right? We'll just leave that to off. That's fine. If I go back to, let's say, this sound here, and we want these to be a little quieter, I can go ahead and turn the velocity down here. I wish there was a quicker way to say copy this and paste it here. The way it works right now is you hit Shift, copy. I want to copy a step. It's copied step 4. I select step 5, and then I paste it. Right, it's a little funky. And actually, the other thing here is if you copy paste a pattern and jump to that pattern, and then jump somewhere else, it doesn't save it. You have to literally save like this. Go up to pattern or pattern and tone, hit enter, choose a new, look at this. You have to choose a new part, right, where you want this to be saved. I'll just say user tone 10. Sure, I'll call it user tone. And now I need to save the rhythm. And I'll save this on number 10 as well, just to keep track of it. And now I need to save the pattern. So we'll go to SH bass gate. I'll call it this. Yes, overwrite that. So now I need to keep track of 3 different things to keep track of the tone, the rhythm track, as well as the pattern, and hope that I can recall it all in one go. Okay, now there's a reverb on this. Turn that off. I think there's a little bit of a delay on here. Actually, that delay was kind of cool. Oh yeah, that's dope right there. Awesome, sweet, we'll leave that at that. Long story short, there's a bunch of weird little things. Maybe this is something you get used to, maybe it's not. Let's go ahead and kind of come up with the bass line now. So I'm jumping over to part 2, which is this model here. I'm gonna go ahead and find the SH-101. Let's keep it old school, right? I mean, there's nothing else that I would really wanna mess with. Drawing's kind of cool. It takes a second. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Let's do the Juno 106. Oh, and you know what? Really quick before I lay down this bass line, let me give a quick shout out to my favorite synth shop, Perfect Circuit. This shop is a must visit if you're ever in the LA area. Perfect Circuit's showroom has practically everything out for you to try with super helpful staff that will help you find the product that best fits your needs. I've been shopping with them since 2015, which is crazy to think about. If you're looking for modular gear, synthesizers, pedals, effects, even pro audio, I highly suggest you check them out. Plus, they ship worldwide. Also, if you're already set with your studio setup and need some inspiration, they have tons of original content on their YouTube channel, as well as their awesome blog called Signal with things that you can try out in your studio today. Links to this, of course, are all down in the description below. And again, shout out to Perfect Circuit for sponsoring this video. And with that, let's get back into it. We'll go to our tone, and I'm gonna set this to mono. I love the Juno with some chorus. Okay, octave down. We'll hit play. That's kind of cool there. We'll go ahead and edit this pattern. We'll set it to 32 steps. Boom, boom, bum, bum. We'll restart that. There it is. Sweet, we lock that in. I won't even, you know what? Here, I'll show you this too, actually. So part 1, we have this little chord on our wavetable, right? Right, this is kind of cool. You could record automation, check this out. Then again, on the 64 step, we'll get out of that. It's here, but listen to what happens when you turn this. It's kind of nuts. It's really fighting you. I wish there was a bit of a smoothing to this, right? Or maybe some sort of a, I don't know, a slew or some sort of a lag to kind of let it slowly go back to where it was. Or just ignore this completely and not allow me to do this. Right? But here, okay, we're here. Let's go ahead and add a couple more notes to this pattern. And just to be safe, I'm gonna go and copy this pattern. Gets interesting. We're gonna hit copy pattern. It's copied to the clipboard. I'm gonna go to our pattern. We are on pattern 10, whatever. We'll go to 11. It's gonna be something nuts. No thanks. And then I'll go to copy and I'll paste this pattern. Okay, now we press play. It's here. The moment of truth. We need to write this pattern. Here, you know what? Just to prove my point, if I jump to we have this pattern here on 11. If I jump to 12 and I jump back to 11, my pattern is gone. What just happened, right? It's still on 10 though, because I saved it, but I forgot to save the baseline. So the fact is, you need to constantly save, or else you're gonna lose stuff. And I just lost my baseline trying to prove my point of how to not lose stuff. So we'll go back to number 2. It's still set to SH-4D. Gotta go back, Oh, I used the Juno. The tone was set to mono. We turn the sub up, turn this off. A little bit of, awesome, sweet. Okay, we're here. I'm gonna go ahead and write all of this, overwrite everything onto user tone 10, sure. I'm just gonna keep hitting yes so we can get through this quickly. Okay, we're there, all our effects are back. Now, let's do what I wanted to do. Copy, pattern, yes, pattern, 10 to 11, copy, paste, yes. Let me save this again. Copy all that stuff there. Now we have it saved to 11. We should be good to go. If I jump back to 10 and jump back to 11, we should be fine. I'm not gonna test it. But what I want to do is live in part 1 still, right? And I went up a couple octaves so I can play, right? We'll try that real quick. That's kind of cool. We'll say, oh, don't like that. We'll undo that. Thanks for that undo button. Sure, that's fine. We do have keyboard tracking, so this is going to take those higher notes and let them shine through more, right, with the filter, and turn the filter down on the lower notes, but it's not doing exactly what I was hearing in my head, so I'm going to turn the keyboard tracking off. Go to part 3. Here we can choose a new model. I will say the sound sources on here are really good, so we can just go. Oh, that's exactly what I wanted. A little string action. I'm gonna go to our pattern, sound, and turn down track 3. That's fine. We'll change our type of our filter to high pass. Turn our amp level down as well. This will give me quicker control over its volume instead of going into pattern and sound. That's kind of sweet. One thing that's fun is if you hold down pattern, we can quickly mute. And we can also use this bottom section to mute specific parts of the rhythm track. Instead of muting the entire rhythm track, we can go and just mute little specific pieces, like our kick. Okay, I like this. I do wish that I did this part on the other pattern instead without the boom, bum, 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 bum. Right, if I wanted to do that, again, I could copy, well, let me get out of here. I could copy I could copy a specific part. What part, right? I want to copy part 3. Now, if I go back to our patterns, we go to 10, and I go to Shift Copy. I'm on part 3. I could paste that to part 3. If I press play here, that's in here. Wait, why did part 3 not get copied? Oh, it didn't copy the tone? Is that what it didn't do? I could have swore that's what it would have done. Okay, anyway, we'll go to part 3 here. And I'll go back to our FM, sound. There it is. Enter that. Okay, sweet. So say we got this going. I'm gonna go over to our rhythm track. Again, this is where we got a bunch of different effects and sounds and tones that we can use to make this a bit more full. So say I want this clap, but I want that's kind of cool. Actually, that's not cool at all. Let's actually, I like this one here. Why is there so much verb on this? Oh yeah, we'll put a little swing in there. And the other thing too, we can go to our tempo and change this little shuffle offset. Right, so this is a little loud. That's fine. And I'm gonna find another little hat here. Oh, that sounds sick, but I wish I can record on quantize. Sure, let's just go ahead with that. All right, I'm actually kind of down with that. That works. Put this in here. Bring that down. What am I missing? I feel like I'm missing a almost like a shaker. Close. We'll do a little attack. Put that in there. Turn a level down on that. That's cool. And I'm going to turn the velocity down to this one here. That's cool. I'm going to go ahead and copy this step. We'll paste it here, paste it here, paste it here. Whoa. I am not running out of voices, am I? No way. No way. No way, no way. Okay, I don't know why that got erased. Weird. I mean, you know, you kind of get the idea, right? The Roland SH-4D can do a ton. It's got drums, it's got 4 parts, it's got a chord mode, it's got some crazy arpeggiator, it's got this really annoying D motion thing. I'm still begging Roland to bring back the D beam. They had it on the Gaia, they had it on a couple other things. Actually, you know what? The Gaia, the SH-01, it's pretty solid synth. Virtual analog, one of my favorites. I had it a long time ago, kind of miss it, but I mainly miss it for that D beam. But they got D motion in here, which makes you start going all crazy with this thing, but that's not what I want to be doing. And like I said before, it's not necessarily for me because it feels kind of clunky to use. I know on paper it can do a ton, and yes, it can do that. It does live up to what it can do on paper. It's just a matter of how you do it that kind of gets in its own way, at least for me, and the way that my brain works. But you know, if you're building an entire studio around this thing, that could be kind of cool. If you need a sound source with some decent synth sounds and some really good preset sounds, right? If we go to like part 4 here, you can just jump into any of these. Right, and just find, like this one's kind of cool here. Right, and this is just within this one model. If we get out of this model, you still have the 3D, the sync. There's a bunch of different models in here, even down to the PCM stuff, which is pretty cool. At its current price of $650, that's up to you to decide if that's expensive or not, right? Because it does do so much. You get 4 synths plus a little mini drum machine for that price. That's a whole studio in one go. And it does allow you to kind of get your feet wet and figure out what models you use the most, and maybe from there you might want to upgrade to a different box that does that specific sound a lot more and gives you a bit more dedicated control and playability and performance tools just for that sound. The sound design in here, again, is a little lackluster to me. For example, if you go into like the mod matrix, some slots you get 4, but I believe it was the Wavetable that I was messing around with the most that only gives you 2 mod slots. 2. That's it. 2 mod slots. Sure, each mod slot has 4 destinations, but it's just 2. Why? And then again, at the most, you get 4. Pretty decent, but what are you going to modulate, right? You get 1 LFO, you get 1 amp envelope, and 1 filter envelope. There's no third envelope, there's no 2 LFOs, there's no like noise source that you can send to different things. There's just these, look, you can control them via CC, that's cool. But then once you go up, you basically just have very simple things like your bend amount, your aftertouch, your velocity, your keys, your LFOs. I don't know, the bend one's kind of fun because this one, for example, if I'm playing this, I can say, go to my cutoff, plus 63. And then that'll turn this up all the way up. Right, and then again, I can go ahead and assign this to a bunch of other different things. But I mean, I don't know. It could be a lot more. Like I said, you'll get this and go to something else. But anyway, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna be packing this thing up and sending it back. Until next week, I think this is another video you might enjoy with some more sound design stuff. And until next week, my friend, you already know the drill. It's always so good to see you. Share the love, share the knowledge. Knowledge is power. Peace.